We are MDT. We design, test, and create precision rifle chassis and accessories to help you shoot better.
Because of the interesting results we saw from shooting a 6-foot long 308, we decided we wanted to do another barrel up. So this time we went the other way and built a 22 rimfire with a 4-foot long barrel. So for this test, we went and had the guys over at IBI put 2 of their 22 barrels together, so 2 26-inch barrels together. In a similar way we did the 308 barrel. They lined everything up internally and got it all straightened out for us, and then chambered it in a 22 rimfire. They also went and added some 1-inch cut marks along the whole barrel. So the barrel right now is just about 46.5 inches because of the tenon in the action, and then the tenon to connect the 2 barrels together. So we did lose a little bit of length there. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna start shooting this. We're gonna measure the speed, and then we're also gonna measure the accuracy on this as well. When we go to cut this down, we're gonna do it in the same way with the bandsaw. But this time I actually have a reamer tool to clean up the end of the crown. So we'll have a crowning tool to clean that up and see if we can maintain the accuracy or gain accuracy or lose accuracy through this whole test. I'm gonna estimate probably around like 600 to 700 feet per second, but I don't know for sure. It's definitely gonna slow down, or I should say definitely. I expect it's gonna slow down, so I think it's probably gonna be in that 600 feet per second. It might even be slower than that, we don't know for sure. So we'll give it a try here. No shit. Okay, well, that's not what I expected. I don't know if that's true. Like, it's saying that it's like 10, I get like a 1020 something at a 1038. It's saying it didn't drop any speed. Like, it doesn't add up, it doesn't make sense. Because it's, why? I don't know. Okay, I'm gonna send a couple more here. Yeah, it's like, yeah, it's doing like 1025. Like I don't know. I'm very surprised by that. Very surprised by that. That it's still actually maintaining that speed. It's kind of doing what we saw with the 308, where it just like kind of leveled out. Didn't gain any speed, but it definitely leveled out. Okay, we'll start shooting on the paper there, get it zeroed in, and start shooting for groups. At each length of the barrel, we ended up shooting 10 shots to make sure we had a representative group size and enough data points for speed. As we worked our way through the length of the barrel, we started to find there was not very much changes happening at each inch cut that we did. We ended up doing 2-inch cuts to speed up the process a little bit more. Once we did start seeing some changes, we went back down to 1-inch cuts just to make sure we had accurate data. So we're at 18 inches right now, and we've got an 18-inch forend on the chassis, so we have to start taking it out of the chassis to cut it down any further. What we ended up finding, it was actually a bit of a wave of a pattern that we had, where when we ended up finishing up the length at 12 inches, we actually had lost a little bit of speed up to around 16, 17 inches. We gained more speed, topping out around like 1070, 1080, and then started dropping off a bit, you know, going down to kind of what you usually expect to see in a 20 to 24 inch barrel of like 1050 mark area, so 1050 feet per second. And then from there, it just kept on going down further and further and further. Now, when we ended up getting to the last 6 inches or 8 inches of the length, it definitely dropped off more. With the slowest speed coming in just over around 1030 or 1030 feet per second. So it was definitely cool to see how the length of the barrel affected that. I'm not positive exactly why all this is happening. I'm assuming it's something to do around, you know, the burn of the powder inside there. The length of barrel that we had, you know, at 16 inches is probably the ideal length to burn as much powder as possible and still not have any kind of friction on the actual bearing surface of the bullet. And then as you go down further and further, you're just not being as efficient with the powder you have in the cartridge, because it is a tiny cartridge. Shooting a fairly small bullet, you know, you do definitely are gaining some friction. The standard deviation definitely actually, it tightened up towards the end of the barrel. So once the bullet started slowing down, which was interesting to see. Probably one of the biggest surprises for me was actually the groups that we were getting from this gun. We were averaging probably, you know, 3/4 to 1 MOA groups on them. So as we cut down the barrel, it was pretty interesting to see that the group was actually moving up about 2/10 every inch we cut off. And this happened for about the first foot to 14 inches of barrel length we had on it. After that, it pretty well stabilized out and was able to stay in generally the center that where point of impact and point of aim were. We figured we were seeing this just because of how heavy this barrel was and how long it was, that, you know, as you reduced weight, the group size shifted upwards. So we did have to adjust for this a couple times to keep the groups in the areas we were shooting at. So we definitely still did see a little bit of shift left and right. You know, this could have been a little bit environmental, could have been maybe I didn't have the crown cut quite square, could have been a combination of things. Basically what it comes down to is, what do you want to run for a length of barrel? You know, for balancing your rifle, say if you're doing PRS shooting, the length of barrel for how stiff it is, because obviously you're gonna get some barrel droop like we've seen, and just kind of put everything together. It's kind of hard to beat a 20-inch barrel. A lot of guys are going up to 26, 28-inch barrels, probably more for balance than anything. So there's definitely a wide variety of options out there for this, and obviously the speed doesn't really matter.